centre in Hackney is to be renamed BRAFA Square after a fascinating yet perhaps forgotten part of Hackney's African-Caribbean history. The name reveals the story of the British reggae artist Famine Appeal, the acronym being BRAFA, which became Hackney's answer to Live Aid back in 1985.
These musicians pulled together 200 musicians, singers, and school children, including some of the top artists of the time, to create the charity record, Let's Make Africa Green Again. The single was released in April 1985 on Island Records to raise money for people in Ethiopia who had been struck by the famine. On 26 May 1986, BRAFA went on to stage a huge benefit concert in Shoreditch Park, which pulled a crowd of over 10,000. In March this year, Hackney citizens voted to name the new square in front of the Britannia Leisure Centre in Hoxton, BRAFA Square, to honour the team's effort and contribution.
I'm ready. So we have to silence in court. So I know a few people whose brethren, who's Rasta, and them talk about Shashamaliland up there in Ethiopia. And I hear the leakage about some kind of problem happening there, people starving. It wasn't on the news yet.
A lot of countries in the world were going through famines and all that. And Africa was one of the worst ones. You know, Ethiopia.
People were dying.
The images that we saw of the Ethiopian famine in 1984, I think the press reported it as biblical, and it stung us as a community.
We, the reggae artists, even though we sing I Love You and those kind of songs, we're singing about roots and culture. I think we should really do something to help these people. I took the initiative move and went to the Voice newspaper, which was based in Hackney, Wells Street or one of those places. They gave the facility to use, like fax machine and the telephone and so on. Before Bob Geldof or any John Public was known, but I had to abandon that because of the stress it was giving me after 3 weeks. I knocked it on the head, but then if it wasn't for my wife, Faye Addison, I wouldn't have picked myself up.
Why did we need to make Africa green again? Excuse the terminology, but it was always being done by a lot of white people. We as black people never really actually got the opportunity or was invited, let's put it that way, to do anything or to make a contribution.
So when the news came on now, and Bob Geldof came on and reported to the news, it was world news. And I thought to myself, my gosh,
I had the same idea.
Someone thinking the same idea.
Which was great of Bob Geldof, but then there was lack of representation of black people and black artists that were here, particularly black British artists that were here. It was for me amazing that Leon Leiffer decided to pull this effort together, and when you think of how much they raised.
And at that time, I know Gene Randa from a group called Undivided as the lead singer. So I think I know him good enough to say he was somebody of the faith and interested in Africa.
Music was present
from the beginning. Yeah.
From the beginning. My dad, I always played reggae on a Sunday. That's what I remember. They always played reggae on a Sunday.
Yeah. So there's Daddy there.
Yeah.
Well, at the core of him is a Rastafarian, isn't it? He's a Rastafarian. Yeah. So the core of him was Africa because that was his spiritual home. Yeah. So, the core of him was, well, we need to help. We need to help. How can we help?
Gene Randa, Tony Douglas, and myself wrote the words to the song, and Ken Kendricks played the guitar.
Let's make Africa green again. We can do it if we try. That's me there. That's Mr. Tony Terry Douglas. Mr. Leon Leiffer actually gave me a call and said him and Gene Randa were planning on doing a charity song for Africa. You know what I'm saying? Because, come on, no one wants to see people dying and suffering.
So I took those lyrics to Eddie Grant's studio with the demo. We've been to every studio in the UK. None of them was willing to give their service free. But Eddie Grant stepped up, not only give the studio free all day, all night, but also a 24-track tape.
It was such a day, it was magnificent, because we had all these British reggae artists you know, that came along to give their support and their blessing to the cause freely. Furthermore, we had so many great artists, original legends of Jamaican music who were also there.
Aswad came to the studio with their manager, Mikey.
And at that time, Aswad was big in the British charts.
Big in the British charts. Also Trevor Walters.
Yeah, he had a #1.
Right, you know, and reggae music was on the front line, big time. You understand? So when Aswad turned up with their manager and he saw 200 plus, maybe 300 people, he called Island Record and said, look, the whole industry is here, and they came on board because all the marketing team in Ireland, they got together, sending us from A to B for interview, their connection, and the record took off and did what it's supposed to do.
Just nice for, you know, reggae music to be representing and, you know, doing something as well.
But the record was a success, isn't it? The record was a
massive
success.
success.
So,
Yeah.
and I think that's what inspired them to go forward to do this concert.
Do the concert.
Yeah.
Because the record was a success. And
Yeah.
I don't think it was ever done with reggae artists, or, you know, I don't think it's been done before. I'm not so sure if it's been done since.
And you know, I mean, even the kids were singing "Let's Make Africa Green Again." It was such a popular song.
Let's make Africa green again. We can do it if we try.
Let's make Africa green again. We can do it if we try. Let's make Africa green again. We can do it if we try.
People are starving. There must be something we can do.
The lead up to the gig, the house was filled
with people,
busy.
people in and out, lots of, you know, talking going on, last minute preparations, logistics.
Oh no, you can't tell. It was
much more than 10,000.
It was
but
just-
I think that the media, you know, tried to suppress it.
Was it that popular?
Well, up here, from Kingston Road at the top to the bottom to Shoreditch, to it's people. It's the biggest ever had in this area. It is.
I remember just kind of being in Mum's and then going, okay, we'll go over there. And it was roadblock. I just couldn't believe how many
Loads of
people.
walking, there's cars.
Tickets sold out apparently, so it was a sellout gig.
It's
so.
funny because I kind of didn't know how important it was.
Even though the professional musician and singers was there, we never turn our nose down on anybody. Everybody, the non-singer, the little, it was a happy feeling. And people was glad to be there.
Well, there are many things we could intervene and involve ourselves in. Perhaps the world we live in is not as perfect as we would like it to be. I'm so proud of the British reggae artists themselves. They responded and they came together. And it happened in Hackney.
I wouldn't say it couldn't happen anywhere else, but it happened in Hackney, you know.
Yeah, first.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, don't forget some of the elements come from other places also, but the drive, the focus came from here. It came from Leon, literally. So
There's a BRAFA Square. We was never ever expecting anything like that to happen. Yeah, so that shows that, dare I say, there is a God. Yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it.
We're all glad to see this. I think this is absolutely brilliant because it shows that, yes, we do want to help our own. When they did, you know, the Band-Aid, you couldn't see us. But when we came together, you could see, yes, there are artists in this community that can do the same works. And it was done. And here we are, and give thanks for that.
Yeah, it's just a special thing, you know, especially for us as his kids. I'm sure my dad will be so proud.
It's one of the proudest moments of my life personally. I don't think I've ever really I've done a few things in life, but this is the biggest without a doubt, because the cause that we did it for, you know, so it's the greatest thing. And I've got to say, I've got to give a lot of credit to Mr. Leon Leiffer, I really do.
The name of the square, you know, BRAFA, is going to be here for, you know, quite a few generations. Yeah. They'll see it, and it will be passed on from generation to generation.
We have to thank the people who organize us, the Hackney Borough, and so on, and for the late people like Jean Randa. It's a great privilege for them and for myself and for everyone who took part, as I say.
I think it's about time we did something else. Don't you think?
Yeah.